Hello everyone. Today we're gonna be going through the NSAA 2016 paper. We're gonna start with the maths section, which prepares you for the maths 1 section of the ESAT. I'm gonna be going through every question slowly, writing every single thing down and explaining the process carefully. In the actual exam, you're not gonna be wanting to write as much as I do. You're going to try do it as quick as possible, because the difficulty of the ESAT actually comes from the time pressure. The actual questions are quite simple, but the difficulty comes from like being able to solve them very quickly. Okay, so this is the first question. Really simple, of course. It's the first question. They're usually very easy at the start as well. So this is, you pass the 6 to the other side. That's minus 14 is equal to minus x over minus 2. Then you pass this to the side and this to the other side. Then you get, sorry, x over 2 is less than 14. Then, of course, you know that x is less than 28, which is g. Okay, but when you are solving the question, you shouldn't be writing all of this down. You write as little as possible, since that way you get to save time. I think you can write this down, and personally from this, I think you can just get to the final answer. You this line, of course, you never write. That's the final answer. Why would you write that in the exam? They don't look at your working. They just look. It's on a computer, anyways. They just look at your actual answers. I think this line alone is enough for you to get the answer. But you need more working like this. Like it's fine. Like write as much as you need, but the less you write, the better. The next question, really simple again. This is just you square them, so it's like 3 plus 2 minus 2 root 3 root 2. This is really simple. This is just b. There's not much explaining here. You square this, you square that. I'm sure everyone knows how to square a quadratic. So do quadratic, like expand quadratic. I'm sure everyone knows how to do that. Really easy. Okay. Next question. This again, very easy. These are all like GCSE level stuff. Most of math one is actually all GCSE. There's nothing, there's no A level content in it, basically no level content in it, but it can get tricky sometimes. But this is really simple. You just times the top by 3 and the bottom by 2, so you get 15, 6, 20. Then he asks you for QS, you need this and that, which you can simplify to 3, 4. That's C. Really easy questions for now. This also very easy question, but a bit more tricky, I guess. So you know that the mean is 28 and there are 20 members. What does that mean? That means that the total is equal to 28 times 20, which is of course equal to 560. Then you know that the mean increases by exactly 2 years and 2 new members. So that means that the new total is going to be 30, because the mean increases by 2. So the new mean is going to be 30 times 22 members this time. So that, of course, is 660. So you know that the difference between these two is 100, and these two different, two new members is gonna be, you're gonna divide by 2, which is just equal to 50. So you see, in the actual exam, you're not gonna be writing any of this. You don't have to write any of this. I think the only numbers you would write is this, that. And I think that's enough. You don't have to write this. You can do this in your head, and you can do this in your head. I think these are the only two numbers you write. Just write them down to like keep track of them. Remember, the less you write, the better, because you have to be as quick as possible. The next question. So this question here is really simple again. But a trick for this question is that you see this 20%, this depreciates 20%. Instead of writing as 0.8, it's better if you write it as 4/5. Okay, really simple. And you see how it says that how much the scammer has reduced the value. So you want the difference between this and the new value, like the value in 2 years. So that's basically this. You have 1 minus 0.8 squared, and that would be your answer. But an easy way to do it in the actual exam to calculate it easy. You know that this is 4 over 5 squared. So in that case, this 16 over 25. So what's 1 minus 16 over 25? Just 9 over 25, right? So what you do is that you do 15,000 times 9 over 25. And this is really easy because then you just like, what you do is that you divide divide this by 25, which you can do that's 600. You can do it mentally. 600 times 9 is 5,400. See, all of this I just wrote to explain, but you don't have to write any of this. In actuality, sorry, let's do this. Great. This is all you would have to write. This gets the job done. You just do the reasoning I just did, writing it down. You don't have to write it down, just do it mentally. The only thing you have to do is this. You keep as a fraction to be able to use this. Because if you had to do this, I'm sure, like, of course you may be able to do it, but it's gonna be way harder. I mean, it is not even the actual thing. It should be it's 1 minus this. But yeah, the trick here is that not trick you, but you know, it gets way harder. This is the actual way to do it, quickest way. The next question. This I personally would draw it out. It takes a bit of time, but you know, you have to do it sometimes. That A is east of B. So that's A, and that's B. Then you know that the bearing of C from A is 330. So you know that this angle right here, 270, right? Right. So that means that this is going to be 60. That's going to be 60. And C is going to be somewhere here. Then you know that the bearing of C from B is 60. You know that this is 60. That means that this is 30. So you have, in actuality, you have 30 and 60. So you know that this is a right angle triangle. So you actually have a right angle triangle such that you have 30 here, 60 here, and 4 here. This is the actual triangle you have. And what you have to find is this BC. So then you can just use SOHCAHTOA. Really simple. So for example, if we choose this angle, we can do SOHCAHTOA on that using cos. You know that cos 30 is equal to this angle, let's go x, the angle side x over 4. Then you know that x is equal to 4 cos 30, which I'm sure we all know is 2 root 3. So the answer is going to be B. So again, I think you would have to write this to get the reasoning down. I don't think you have to write it down again. This is just like for you to like look at, like for me to explain. And I don't think you have to write this either. I think this diagram here is enough. If you have to write more again, write as much as you need. But the less you write, the better. I keep repeating this, but this is really important. The next question. We have the quantities x and okay, so this is really simple. You know that it's inversely proportional, so you know that x equal to k root y. And the numbers they give us are really simple. So you know that it's going to be h is equal to k root 9. This is just 3. We all know this is 3. In that case, k is equal to 8 times 3 is equal to 24. Then you just sub this in. So what's the value of y? So you know that you have 6 is equal to 24 over root y. Then you know that root y is equal to 24 over 6 is equal to 4. Y is equal to 4 squared, which is just 16. See, but here again, all of this you don't have to write. There's a lot of writing. This, for example, you wouldn't write as just the answer. This clearly you wouldn't write. This you might want to write it down, makes it easier. But this, for example, this again, you might want to write it down. This you would definitely not write it down. you just write k equals 24. This definitely you wouldn't write. Like key information, you just write. You may want to write this to get the solution. I personally wouldn't write it. I would just write this. Then this you can write it down to get the solution again. It's not really necessary. The less you write, the better. But very easy questions, see? They get a bit harder sometimes, but they're usually very easy questions. This question. So the easiest way, you need to find RS. So you basically need to find x plus 5. So to do that, you just need to find x, basically. Very easy then. So you do the area of a trapezium. So you add both sides. So you have x plus 5 plus x minus 1 divided by 2, and then you times by the height, so x equal to 120. Again, you wouldn't be writing this. You wouldn't be writing this. You would just like add them directly, so you would know is 2x plus 4 over 2 x equal to 120. This step, I think you can write. I think you should write. It makes it easier. But then really easy, you know that you can divide that by that and then times by that. So you have x squared. No, actually, it's better if you keep it like this. X plus 2 x equal to 120. See, sometimes they try to trick you. The options, a lot of these options are tricks for you. If you look at this here, you can tell very easily what x could be. You don't have to solve it directly. You have to save time. So like instead of having the quadratic x squared plus 2x minus 120 equals 0 and solving it from this, since you don't have a calculator, this is going to take you time. It's going to take you time to solve this quadratic. But on the other hand, you can just look at this and see the answer of, obviously, x equals 10 works. Then you have 12 times 10 is equal to 120. So x equals 10. And how do I know? It's like, first of all, you can just look at it. But if you look at the options, you have this, which they probably put just to mislead you, because that's not what the actual answer is. You know that x equals 10, but then they're asking you for rs, which is x plus 5. So it's 15. The answer is 15. That's how you do it. You shouldn't be writing this. No, not to that. This is enough. This is enough. From this, you can get x. The next question. So this is purely technical. There's really nothing to it, but it gets long. And again, write as little as possible. So we have to times by that. So we have 3a b squared minus a is equal to b squared plus 2. Then you have to collect the b's. I know that I have to pass that to the side and pass this to the side, but I'm gonna be factorizing ahead. So I have b squared and I have 3a minus 1. So I'm gonna pass that there. Minus 1 is equal to 2 plus a. Very, very simple. Then of course you already know that what's gonna be b squared is gonna be 2 plus a plus 3a minus 1, and then you know that you just have to like square root it, so it's gonna be e. But I wouldn't write this last line. I think these two lines are more than enough, because from here you know that you have to divide by that and then you just square root. So it's just that. It's really simple, really easy. The next question. This, again, there are many ways to do it, but I like to keep everything easy. So you know that 5 is gonna be the diameter of the circle, whose radius r. You know the diameter, sorry, the circumference. You know that the circumference is 2 pi r equals 5. You know that r is equal to 5 over 2 pi. So you know that's what you're gonna use to find out the volume of this, because you know the volume is gonna be the area times the height, and the area is pi r squared times height, and that h volume. That's the volume. What you do volume is equal to you sub in r, so you know that it's gonna be 25 over 4 pi squared times pi times 10. Okay, so then you know that you can get rid of this pi, and this you can become 2, and then that you can become 5, and then you just times. So 25 times 5, 125. So it's C. Simple. Yep. The next question. This It's a bit trickier, but if you know how to do it, it's really simple again. So you have x squared, so you know that you can get integer out of this, since the denominator and the numerator both have an x squared term. So see this here, you can also write it down as 4 plus, see, look at this, 2x minus x squared plus, no plus, sorry, minus 2x plus 4 over x squared minus 2x. See, this and that, this and that are the same. They're the same. But this, you can tell, is the negative of that. So you can do 4 minus 1 plus 4 minus 2x, x squared minus 2x. What else you do? That's why you have 3. So you know that it's going to be one of these options. And see how this is like really simplified. Why? Because you can, again, you can simplify this. This bit is also equal to, what's it called? 2 minus x. And that's x minus 2. And again, you can tell this and that, they're just like negatives of each other. So again, you can cancel this and then put a minus here. In that case, it would be 8. Again, really simple. You just have to be smart about it. You have to, like, right now I'm explaining and you'll think, oh, this is really easy. But in the exam, it gets harder because, like, a lot of the times you don't know how to approach the question. Sometimes you're going to look at this, you're going to be like, oh, what do I do now? They're like easy ways to solve it. There are always easy ways to solve it, but you have to be smart enough to catch on it. And how do you catch on it? The more you practice, the better you'll get it. Okay, next question. This question it's really easy again, but it takes some time to do. It takes more time. But you see some of these questions, like for example, the ones at the start, like this one, for example, this one takes a bit more time. This and that, they're really simple, they're really easy. They take you like 30 seconds or less. So you can spend some more time in other questions, especially because sometimes you might get stuck on a question for like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, or even longer. The ideal is for you to not get stuck, but of course things happen and you might get stuck. So you get this extra time from the easier question. So this question, yeah, again, really simple. You have 120 students. You know that 46 of these are girls. You have that 2/3 of the tennis players are boys. So what does that mean? A third are girls. A third of 36 is 12. Okay. So 12 girls play tennis. What does that mean? So you have 34 for the rest of categories. You have 25 girls choose swimming. You have 14 that choose archery. Yeah, is that correct? I feel like this is incorrect. I feel like I went wrong somewhere. You have 22 choose tennis. These are boys. A third of them. Yeah, that's 12. So that's 34. Then 25 girls. Oh yeah, I've taken away wrong here. You do 34, take away 25, and that's 9. You see, sleep ups can happen. You have to be careful. I did a sleep up here, but thankfully I caught it early, so I didn't lose much time here. Okay, so you have 9, then you have 9 girls that do archery. So what does that mean? That means that the boys that do archery is gonna be 27 minus 9, which is just 18. What's the question? The question is how was the okay? What does I say? A boy is picked at random, and the probability that the boy choose swimming. So how do you know this? So you have to find out the boys. First of all, if there are 46 girls, you do, for the number of boys, you do 120 minus 46, which of course really simple, is 74. You have 74. And you have 18 of these do, sorry, yeah, 18 of these do archery. So you're gonna have what's it called? My mental math is a bit rusty, but yours should be sharp. It should be as sharp as possible. You have 56, and then you know that 2/3 of these do singi, do tennis. So that's minus 24 again. 50 minus 24 is gonna be 32. What does that mean? That means that there are 32 boys, sorry, 32 boys that do swimming. And how many boys are there? There are 74. So you do 32 divided by 74, which you can simplify to 16 over 37. That's that. This one is mostly mental math. My mental math is a bit rusty. But again, it didn't take me long, and it would take you even less time because you wouldn't be having to write as much, and you wouldn't have to be explaining like I'm doing. You should be way faster than me. Anyways, next question. Maybe this. So here I'm gonna explain. You know, you're gonna have 3 root 2, 3 to the power of 2. That's 9. You have 2n plus 1 times 3, 4 minus 3n 27 to, and then you use the laws of exponentials and all of that. But you shouldn't be writing this in the actual exam. The way I would write it in the actual exam is just times by 3, times by 2, sorry. You know, here, sorry, you should have converted this into 9 over 3. So not 9, sorry, 3 to the power of 3. Anyways, here, you know that this is 3 to the power of 2. So you just write it down like that. So you multiply this by 2. You have 4n plus 2. Then that just thingy, that just stays the same. 4 minus 3. And then you're dividing by this and timesing by this. So because you're dividing, it's going to be negative. Then you're going to be timesing by 3. So it's going to be 6 minus 3n. But again, I wouldn't write in brackets. I would just directly write it. I would just multiply by minus 1 and be like minus 6 plus 3n. This is what I would write in the exam. And this takes you no time to write. It shouldn't take you 20 seconds. It should take you like 10 seconds to write this down. Then you can just do simple arithmetic. You do that, and you have that and that, and then you only have this left. What's your answer? It's D. This is 3 to the power of 4n. Really simple again. People might get stuck on this and waste way more time putting it on powers of 3 and times and blah blah blah. But you're only interested in the actual powers. You use the power rules, exponential rules, and it's really simple. You just have to be really quick with it. The next question. These can get tricky if you don't know what you're doing, but it's quite simple. So the first thing you would know is that this angle and this angle are the same. I'm gonna call it y because these are already labeled x. Okay. And this angle over here is the interior angle of a polygon with n sides. And the interior angle of a polygon with n sides, the angle of that, I'm gonna call this, let's call it theta. Okay, so theta is gonna be equal to n minus 2 n times 180. And this you can also write as 180 minus 360 over n. And I think it's better if you use this form. This form is simpler. I'll explain you why. Because you know that theta plus y are going to add up to 180. 180. What does that mean? That means that y is equal to 180 minus theta. What does that mean? That means that y is equal to 180 minus 180 plus 360n. So that's what we have. What we have is that y is equal to 360n. In that case, you know that x, because angles in a triangle add up to 180 as well. So 180 minus 2y is x. So what's that? 180 minus 720n. And that's our answer. That's not our answer, sorry. We have to find out n. What do you do here? Simple arithmetic again. We pass that to the other side. So we have x minus 180 is equal to minus 720 over n. Then you can times by minus 1, pass this to there, and then divide by that. So in that case, you have n is equal to 720 divided by 180 minus x. Remember, because we times by minus 1. In that case, what's that? That's E. Very simple again. See, it didn't take me time, but if you didn't know what to do, it would take you way longer and it'd be really hard. So you have to be really quick with it, and you shouldn't be writing as much as I'm doing. So for example, this you shouldn't write. These two formulas you don't have to write. Just write one of them, and don't even write them. Like write it directly here, like this you do right, and just write this directly. And again, this line you wouldn't have to write. This you do right, because that's the actual thing. And then here the rearranging as much as you need. But again, if you follow this, you will only have to write how many lines? 5 lines, 4 lines? Not many. Okay, next question. We're almost done. In a population, okay. So now you have to what you have to do basically here is add up the probability of an overweight person having type 2 diabetes and a normal person having type 2 diabetes. So really simple. Again, 3/5 of the population are overweight. Do 3/5, and the probability of them having diabetes is 9/50. Do that plus the probability of someone not being overweight is 2/5, because 1 minus 3/5 times the probability is 6 times, so it's 6 times less. So what do you do? So you have 90 and it's 50 times 6. You keep it all as fractions, really simple. Here there's no simplifying to do, so you have 27 over 250. But here you can simplify things. So first of all, this 6 becomes a 2 and this becomes a 3. And this 2 cancel with that. Then you have plus 3 over 250, which is 30 over 250, which then you can do this, and you're left with that B. Again, really simple, only 3 lines of working. You just have to absorb the information very quickly and write as much as possible. Next question. Okay, really simple. This you don't have to use a graphic method. You don't have to draw anything. You just have to like sub in values. You know that one of the solution is x equals 2, so you just sub it in. So you know that when x equals 2, y is gonna be equal to 3. So that's useful here, because then you sub it in here. You have 3 equal to 2 squared plus 2a plus b, which you just type right. You wouldn't write 2 squared. You would just write 4. But you know, I'm just explaining here. Then you just rearrange it so you have it in an easy way. So you have 2a plus b is equal to -1. You pass that to the other side. Okay, then you know that the other solution is x equals 4. In that case, y is gonna be equal to 5. So you have 5 is equal to 4 squared, which is 16, plus 4a plus b, which then you rearrange again to get 4a plus b is equal to -11. And here you just do your simultaneous equations. You can subtract them away, you can take them away. So then you have 2a is equal to -10, because you subtract. Then you have a is equal to -5, really simple. Then here, if you sub in again, then you have -10 plus b, plus b is equal to -1. So clearly you know that b is going to be equal to 9. So the solution is a, -5 and 9. Okay, next we only have 2 questions left and we're done with this section. Okay, so a rhombus is a diagonal. Okay, so let's draw this rhombus. This diagonal is going to be 5. It's not accurate. I think this one should be 3. That one should be 5. I'm not good at drawing, but it doesn't really matter. Okay, so it's going to be enlarged. You have to find out the scale factor. Really simple. You should be finding the side of the original rhombus. To do that, you just do Pythagoras with this. So it's going to be 5/2 and 3/2. So then you just know that if you square them, so you're going to be 5/2 squared. And again, always keep in fractions, so it's easier. That. So there are very easy ways to do this, but then what you can do is that you can take these over 2's away. You know that's going to be over 2 anyways. And then you do 5 squared, which is 25. You have 25 plus 3 squared, which is 9. You have that. What's this? It's just 34. You have 34/2. That's x. X is that. So you know that 34 over 2 converts into 16. An easy way to do this, you know that you can just put it all here. You can just convert it into like actual all inserted form. You have 34 is divided by 8. No, sorry, divided by 4. So this makes into 64. So what do you have to times? You have to times by root 8, which is also equal to 2 root 2. Just see. Very simple again. For this question, you just draw it, and then you have to separate into a triangle to find out x. This you wouldn't write. This here you wouldn't write. You just wouldn't write down. Don't write this down. Just write the solution, and then I think it's easier if you convert this into this, and then you can clearly see what you times by. You times by 8 or root 8, which is just that. Really simple question again. Australian was joined with the compressor final and greater than 0. Okay, so then you just do changing y over changing x. So really simple. I'm gonna take away from that. So I'm gonna have -1 minus this, or -1 plus p over 2p plus 1 minus 7. It has to be more than 0. So it's gonna be p minus 2 over 2p minus 6. Okay, so see, you wouldn't be writing this down. You would just go directly into this. This wouldn't write. Now here, the mistake people would do is just like, oh, times by that. But then you're like, oh, I have no more solutions. Why does that not work? Because this might be negative. And also when it's negative, you have to flip the sign. So it doesn't work. What you do is that you make sure, this you do in further math actually. You learn this in further math. You just times by the square of this. So you times by 2p minus 6 squared. That's what you do. You times by that, because this will always be positive. There's no way this is ever negative, because it's a squared number. So once you do that, you have p minus 2 times 2p minus 6 more than 0. And here, of course, you know that this is just simple. You can draw it. You can draw it if you want. It just ends up being like this. You know that one of your solutions is 2 and 3, and it's more than, it's gonna be that and that. So you know that is really simple. These questions are quite easy. They're easier than normal. I think the ESAT questions are actually a bit harder. Why was this paper so easy? Because it's a 2016 paper. The papers do get kind of harder as the years go on. The ESAT is actually not that hard. I think the NSAA, the later years of the NSAA are harder. The questions are harder than the ESAT, but the ESAT has more questions and it's kind of more time pressure. So that's where the actual difficulty lies. But again, this was really easy. I hope this was helpful to you, and I'll see you next time.